Well, good morning, everyone. And once again, welcome to another live this morning. Nice to have you on. And we love when you can come on live, of course, and say hello if you can. And we appreciate that. We appreciate our audience. Love you guys. Thank you for following the Doctor is In podcast. We appreciate you guys. We're doing this live on Facebook. For those of you who can join us. Hi, Janice. You're number one. Andrea, right at the top. Nellie, there you go. Sandy in Fergus Falls, Minnesota. And Lisa, right in the top 10. Lucille. And Kevin, there you are. Rosalinda. And Kristen in Saskatchewan. Madeleine, how are you? In Kippawa, Quebec. Sandy, Chilliwack, British Columbia. And Sandy in Vancouver, Washington. 2 in a row. John, our friend from Elgin, Illinois. Sharon from Hot, Kansas. Wendy from Markham. Mary saying hi to Dave and Helga. Patricia. And there's Brahim from Portland, Oregon. Cheryl, West Virginia. Elaine in St. John's, Newfoundland. Catherine's in Newfoundland. Berishan from Montreal. Bonjour, Berishan. How are you? Helga. Fran from Orangeville. How are you, Fran? Judy. I don't always see your name, Fran. I don't know why. Joan in Blind River. And Marianne, and Patricia. Yvonne Petawawa, Luella, there she is from West Tennessee. Say hi to Doc McEwen because I only see your name afterwards. Hi, Karen. And Nativity. You were right at the top yesterday, Nativity. What happened? Grace, Newfoundland. Sherry is in Mississauga. Yala. Bonjour. Bruno, how are you? Danny Lay in Iron Bridge, Ontario. Dennis. Denise. Karen. Coldwater. Annie in Lively. Sandra, good morning from Sudbury. Never heard of it. Where is that? Yvette Shedyak. Danny. Lise, how are you? Oh, guys, I love saying hello to you. Hi, Amber in New Jersey. Fran says she's glad she's visible today. Dennis, there he is. Simon, good morning. Donna, Karen, Peterborough. Patricia in Sudbury. We got some folks in Sudbury. Lise is in Sudbury. Nativity says she was at the top today. Well, I only, Eileen, how are you? Chaz. And Rain Cloud, how are you? And Marilyn. Okay. Okay. I just want to read a statement and we'll talk about this for a minute. I've got quite a few, just studies and, to look at. We try and do that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, look at studies. Usually, Fridays, when you're on with us live, our Q&A, and then Mondays often, because I never get through all the questions that we have on Friday, so we do Q&A Monday almost every week. Almost, okay? I'm going to quote a guy, Gary Taubes, I think that's how you say his name, Taubes. Taubes, I don't know. Anyway, he's written books over the years on, getting rid of sugar in your diet. But he said this, okay? You don't lose fat because you cut calories. You lose fat when you cut down on insulin. Okay? So, guys, here's a fact. When insulin is present in your blood, you're not losing fat. Okay? You're not losing fat. So, you want to lose fat. You want to lose visceral fat, fat around your organs. You got to cut foods that increase your insulin. Okay? So, guys, that's the science behind food. This is why at the Martin Clinic, the Doctors in podcast, when I was in practice, I was lowering people's carbohydrates. Because when you lower carbohydrates, you lower sugars, you know what happens? You lower insulin. If you lower insulin, you lose fat. It's not calories. It's not calories in, calories out. Eat less, move more. Okay? How's that working out for the population? Eat less, move more. And people do it. Oh, I got to lose weight. I'm going to eat less, move more. But what they don't realize is this whole thing about a hormone called insulin. Insulin is a fat storing hormone. Insulin takes sugar and has to store it, has to take sugar out of the bloodstream. So what happens when you're not eating sugar or eating bread, pasta, cereals, rice, noodles, muffins, bagels, drinking juice? What happens? Well, you lowered your insulin. Why? Because you don't need insulin when you're eating an egg. You need insulin's on the sidelines. When you're eating meat, insulin is on the sidelines. When you're eating dairy, like butter and cheese, insulin is on the sidelines. Okay? Guys, that's science. It's not calories. It's what you're eating. Okay? You live on carbs, as most people do. You're in trouble. And it's not just weight, because a lot of times people can be skinny and very unhealthy because they have a lot of visceral fat. You can't see that visceral fat around the organs. It's packed in around your heart and around your pancreas and around your liver and around your gut. You can't see it, but it's there. Okay? The fat that you see, adipose, that adipose tissue, that subcutaneous fat, you see that. But you don't see visceral fat. You can measure it though. You can measure it. And that's why we talk about, like getting the right blood test done. We emphasize that all the time, all the time, all the time. Get the right blood test done. The poor man's test is A1C. Okay? I've been looking at A1C for a long time. A1C is an average of your blood sugars over 2 to 3 month period. It's a great test. I love A1C. Because it tells you a whole story. If your A1C is above 5.4, you have trouble with insulin. You have very likely you have visceral fat inside your body that you don't even see. Now, you might see some belly fat, okay, because that's part of metabolic syndrome. But guys, I'm telling you, this is why I love A1C. If you can get your fasting insulin done, hey, I love that. I love that. But A1C is one that you can just count for sure. Why? Because doctors will do your A1C. You don't have to twist their arm like you might have to get them to do a fasting insulin. You're not a diabetic. Why do you want a fasting insulin done? Because diabetes is the last thing to happen. Diabetes, you've had insulin going up and up and up and up for 10 years, way before diabetes. I want to cut that off at the pass. I want to be able to determine my blood test. I want to be able to look at that. You don't lose fat because you cut calories. You lose fat when you cut insulin. You cut down on insulin. Okay. Let me just see here. Got a couple of other things I wanted to talk about this morning. Let's do this, because yesterday I talked about heart disease and how we've missed the whole boat on heart disease, guys. Okay? We've missed the whole boat. And again, it'll come back. We're going to talk a lot about your blood test today. Okay? We're going to talk a lot about that because I want you, again, to hammer this in. Is you got to be your own physician. We live in 2026. And even as a lay person, you can make some determinations by learning how to analyze your blood work. Okay? And again, this is repetition. But when you look at heart disease, for example, still the number one killer, we talked about this yesterday, the number one killer is what? Heart disease. 700,000 Americans and change die every year from heart disease. Well, let's get at the root issue. Numero uno. Insulin resistance. It starts destroying your blood vessels. The end you have in your side, your blood vessels. Let me bring out a chart. I have my atlas that I've had since the 1970s. Cardiovascular, okay? We're going to look at blood vessels, okay? So for those folks who are listening to this on a podcast, I'm showing a chart here. And I'm going to show, okay, a clean blood vessel right here, okay? There's a clean blood vessel right there. On the very inside of that blood vessel is a layer. It's a Teflon layer. It's called your endothelial. Endothelial layer. It's Teflon-like. Very slippery. Okay? Very slippery. It's when it gets sticky and it gets damaged. This is where the problem starts. And then you see it here, okay? You see plaque on the fourth one here, developing the third and fourth blood vessel. You guys can see that, I hope. And how does a blood vessel get to that? Okay? How does a blood vessel get to a damaged blood vessel? And unfortunately, medicine has been hijacked because all they can think of is cholesterol. They want to measure the blood for your cholesterol. Well, I don't dismiss cholesterol. I don't. Because you need cholesterol. If you want your blood vessels to be slippery, not sticky, you actually need cholesterol. And again, it comes back to looking at your blood work. Okay? What causes it all starts? Where does the damage on the Teflon layer start? With insulin resistance. How do you get insulin resistance? Food. How do you get it? What food? Carbs. Crappy carbs. That's how you get insulin resistance. You can measure it. You can measure it. If you have A1C above 5.4, you have insulin resistance. There you go. Okay? There you go. So it starts with heart disease, starts with food. Not eating eggs. Not eating cheese. Not eating red meat like steak or hamburger or roast beef or pork. Doesn't start with that. That doesn't clog up your arteries. I'm sorry, it don't. Crappy carbs do. We'll talk about sugar in a minute. Insulin goes up. Your cells resist it. You create a cascade of problems, okay? So, one, measure your insulin resistance. Measure it. You take that A1C seriously. If you can get a fasting insulin, great. I love it. But don't guess. Test. Okay? Now, secondly, what damages that endothelial? What damages Teflon? Insulin resistance, and part of it is inflammation. It damages the Teflon layer. Inflammation. Test it. It's in the book, Sun, Steak, and Steel, if you need a review of these tests. Heart disease is killing people. They don't even look at C-reactive protein. It's a test you need to get done because it measures inflammation. Inflammation is silent. Because people think of inflammation while I banged my knee. I hurt myself. I have inflammation. How do I know? Because I got pain. But this inflammation is silent. It's silent. You don't have pain. You don't have an infection. But if your CRP is elevated, it should be 0. But let's say it's at, like to me, if it's under 3, you're probably not getting a lot of damage in your blood vessels at the endothelial level. But if it's above 3, your CRP, okay? So measure it. Blood pressure is part of insulin resistance. You can measure your blood pressure. Okay? You can measure it. I'm more interested, okay, in your bottom number. Your systolic number. I'm more interested in that. If it's above 90, the bottom number, you got some high blood pressure going on. That puts pressure on the blood vessels. It ain't salt. It's sugar. You can cut the salt out of your diet. Who cares? Oxidative stress, free radical damage. You know what causes those blood vessels to be damaged? Bad oil. Here's man, okay? I tell you guys this all the time. Here's man. They think they're smart. They're smarter than God. So what they do? They change the oil. They change the oil. So today, we have seed oils, so-called vegetable oils, meant for your car, now taken in the body. And boy, oh boy, the food industry don't want to give up on those things. Man, oh man, the pushback, it's not true, it's so good for you, like canola oil and soy oil, and we're going to cook it's not saturated fat, it's saturated fat that's clogs up your artery. No, it ain't. Those seed oils, they increase your inflammation and they increase your oxidation. What they did is, here's man. They changed the oil. They changed the sugar. They thought they were smart. You know, let's get away from cane sugar, real sugar, and we're going to give you artificial sugar. It's sweeter, it's cheaper, and let's call it high fructose corn syrup. Man, that's damaging to your heart because it goes directly to your liver. And when your Costco parking lot is full of high fructose corn syrup, which turns into glycogen, your liver gets rid of triglycerides, fat balls. They float through your arteries. And it lowers your good cholesterol. All cholesterol is good. It lowers your HDL cholesterol. Bad sugar, bad oil, and bad flour. They made flour a fast food. Okay? Everybody says gluten. I say schmooten. It's flour. It's enriched to kill you. The modern day bread, fast food. It breaks into sugar so fast it makes your head spin. Oh, Dr. Martin, it's whole grain. I don't care. It's still sugar. It's sugar molecules holding hands. That's what the modern bread is like. And noodles. And, the pastas. And the crappy dinners that people live on today. Okay? So you have oxidative stress. You have a thing called glycation. Sugar causes glycation. And again, you can measure it. You can measure it because A1C is glycated hemoglobin. It tells you about insulin and it tells you about glycation. 5.4. That's the sweet spot. You want it under. The lower you can bring your glycation down, the better it is. But you better not be above 5.4. And if you are, don't fool yourself. you and carbs are in a bad relationship. Because people used to come to me and I go, well, yeah, but your A1C is elevated. Well, Dr. Martin, I don't eat that many carbs. Well, you might not, but any carbs you eat, you don't do well with. You got a bad relationship. It's toxic. It's the way your body processes it. You don't do well. You can't fool you can't fudge your numbers. You can't fudge it. Don't fool yourself. You can measure glycation. Sugar damages the endothelial level of your blood vessels. Homocysteine. What is that? Okay? It's how your body, breaks down energy. It's a byproduct. Homocysteine is a great measurement. I love it. And if you got high homocysteine, it's telling you something. There's smoke in the blood vessels. There's fire. I remember a teacher telling me this one time. Where there's smoke, there's fire. She was talking about me being bad. She said, I haven't caught you exactly, but where there's smoke, there's fire. I like that. And if you got smoke in your blood vessels, there's usually inflammation firing in there somewhere, right? And homocysteine, by the way, is if you got elevated homocysteine, you have low levels of B12. And I don't care what your blood test says. Most people walk around in very low levels of B12. You need to optimize your B12 to keep your homocysteine down. Where there's smoke, there's fire. There's fire inside those blood vessels if your homocysteine is up. And if your B12 is low, you got elevated homocysteine almost invariably. Good to know that, isn't it? And how do you elevate B12 other than, of course, I want you to take it as a supplement. But how do you elevate B12 in food? Steak. Steak. Red meat. Is red meat good for your blood vessels? You bet your boots it's good for your blood vessels because it lowers your homocysteine. It lowers your insulin. It lowers your A1C. It lowers your blood pressure. It's the opposite of what I was taught in school. It's the opposite of what the world believes. Get your stress levels down, because you guys know this. We talk about, remember, 2 hormones that want you dead. Wrote a book in 2011, 2 hormones that want you dead. Insulin, cortisol. Cortisol, insulin. Stress hormone. Stress hormone. Everybody has cortisol. But you don't want to have chronically elevated cortisol because that pours gasoline on the fire of inflammation inside the blood vessels, endothelial, Teflon-like blood vessels. Cortisol elevates your blood pressure, elevates your blood sugar, pours gasoline on inflammation. Pours gasoline on oxidation. cortisol. That's why I talk about the importance of emphasizing, even for your heart, is sleep. Nutritional deficiencies. Here's what I find almost invariably in heart disease patients where Teflon is already damaged. Okay? Low vitamin D, sun in the heart. Because what the sun does, it elevates your nitric oxide. It opens up your blood vessels. The sun. And if you can't get sun, you better be taking vitamin D with K2. Because K2 takes the calcium and puts it where it belongs. You don't want to calcify your endothelial layers of your blood vessels. Okay? So, nutritional deficiency. We already talked about B12. Vitamin D, B12. Vitamin D, B12. You must get tired of hearing it. Magnesium. Relax. Blood vessels relax with magnesium. Relax. Okay. CoQ10. Steak. Carnitine. Carnosine. CoQ10. All the C's. Creatine. They're all good for your blood vessels, guys. Okay? You get a lot of nutritional deficiencies. And that's really important, okay? And let me add one more. Going to add one more that has an effect on your blood vessels. Toxins. Leaky gut. Leaky blood vessels. Your body is we live in a toxic soup. We've talked about microplastics. They end up in your blood vessels. Holy smokes. Who would have thought? Right? Who would have thought? And by the way, smoking, what does it do? Well, it increases oxidation. Right? In case you thought I forgot about smoking. I haven't, but I meant it under oxidation. Okay? So you got leaky gut. Yes, leaky gut. The gut blood vessel connection. There's a connection. Even bacteria that get into the bloodstream, attack the heart and the blood vessels, creates an inflammatory response. Leaky gut. Fix leaky gut. Okay. Anywho, I had to do a little bit of teaching this morning on those blood vessels of yours. Because guys, I'm sorry, it's not cholesterol. It isn't. They're measuring the wrong things, guys. And it's not like we don't have blood tests. We have them. Okay? You want to get your calcium, coronary calcium test done? Okay, I got no problem with that. But what do you do about it? Right? Like the answer is not statin drugs. It's not statin drugs. Because that don't fix what we're talking about here. Okay. Okay, guys, we love you dearly, sincerely. Okay? And send your questions in. Get them in early to info@martinclinic.com. Okay? info@martinclinic.com. Okay. Guys, we love you dearly, sincerely, and every other way. What an audience. Talk to you soon.